Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching 13th part of What If Naruto Mastered Ancient Shinobi Way. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Mayubokuzen. I'm still curious, Naruto-chan, how you and Hinata-chan are able to gather natural energy while moving, the elderly toad said. I'm far older than I look, and that has never happened before. Naruto smiled and took his place at the table. Naruto arrived late in the morning, close to midday, and began his training, so, after a hearty lunch in which Naruto threw up, much to Shima's chagrin, they began Naruto's training in the sage arts. As the sun began to set over the distant horizon, Fukasaku-sama decided to call it a day and strike up a conversation with his new student. It will be my pleasure, Gamma Gigi, says the narrator. Naruto stated, it is, as you stated, impossible to combine natural energy while moving. However, I keep a certain part of my body still while moving. Oh, please explain. Okay. I just got all the knowledge of the clones I left to study in the library, so I'll tell you as I understand it, Naruto said. Humans are made up of three parts: the mind, the body, and the spirit. When training to become one with nature, you must remain perfectly still so that nature can become a part of you. Movement impedes this process. This energy is combined with physical stamina and spiritual energy in equal parts to form the sage chakra. Yes, that is what you did today. How did you get around that requirement? According to the records, after many years of failed trials by the Shinobi Order, it was discovered that while the body is perfectly still, the mind is in a partially blank state, with the part that remains active being the part that senses the energies themselves. As a result, it was concluded that the mind served as a link between human spiritual and physical parts, and that even when the body is completely dead, the spirit remains very active. I see, the sage said, his eyes widening. Instead of stilling the body, you stilled the spirit. I believe monks call this enlightenment. But it usually takes them a lifetime to achieve such a state, and you did it in. Naruto replied, about 3 years. I see, the sage said, nodding. How did you manage to calm your spirit? Every moment of our training was actually to lead to that point, Naruto said with a distant look. First you start with the body by going through a series of rigorous and nearly impossible physical training. Then you strengthen the mind by putting it under constraint, strain and pressure. Only then can you finally unlock the powers of your spirit. Only then can you learn how to calm it, and eventually still it. This was accomplished by going through a procedure that nearly kills you. If your body is weak, it will whittle away and die. If your mind is weak, you will eventually give up and never achieve the end result. However, this process is something that neither the body nor the mind can accomplish on their own. This is where the spirit comes in. It pushes you and drives you to go further. Oh, I see, this is what you'd call willpower. Yes, exactly, Naruto said, but the human spirit is stubborn and will not yield to anything. So after this point, it is left to exhaust itself by simply keeping the body alive and the mind active. It eventually weakens, and then it stills, not dies, but stills and floats free. So that's how you're able to absorb natural energy while moving, the toad said excitedly, but how do you explain the abilities you and Hinata-chan have to freely bend the elements? According to the records, even if the spirit was still, one needed to hold on to something or else they would die, so an anchor was used to prevent this. This anchor was physically connecting a person to the element to which they are aligned, Naruto explained. With me, I was left in the open air because my elemental affinity is wind, and with Hinata, she was submerged in a river of water because her affinity is water. I see, it makes sense now, the toad explained, because anchoring to an element literally becomes a part of you. And when you recover, the element remains bonded, and because you take in natural energy constantly, you are always in contact with the element. Exactly, Naruto responded. When his wife appeared and called the two in for lunch, the elderly toad was about to continue. Naruto couldn't decide which was worse, being turned into a stone statue of a toad or having to eat Shima's cooking. Unrikyo and Kumo. Hidan and Kakuzu stood over the Hachibi Jinchuriki's body. Actually, Kakuzu stood, while Hidan lay face up in a circle drawn from his own blood, as if dead. Even though they had won, it had not been an easy fight, nor had they escaped unscathed, and had it been anyone other than these two, the outcome would have been much, much different, with the enemy dying. This was confirmed when, after Hidan had been dismembered in the early stages of the fight, the bodiless head began to not only talk, but curse both him and his partner in a way that would make any sailor blush in embarrassment. Even stranger was the man's partner's lack of surprise or pity. Even the killer bee had decided that these were two enemies with whom he could not play. So he made the best decision in that situation. He ran. Unfortunately, he had run straight into the foul-mouthed man's partner, who caught him off guard with a punch that sent him skating quite a distance. He was wondering what kind of monsters these two were when the man he had cut apart reappeared, his scythe poised to sever his head. Fortunately, Killer Bee was a Jinchuriki with expertise in more than one area, so avoiding him was not a problem. The real issue was putting them down because it was clear that killing the silver-haired one was no longer an option, so he decided to at least take out the other one. At the very least, that one would perish. Hopefully. That, too, had proven futile after realizing that cutting the man up was especially pointless because his body was already disjointed. The situation was made worse when a stab through the large one's chest only killed him once. Killer was desperate at the time, and desperate times called for desperate measures. That's when he transformed into his Biju form and appeared to turn the tides. But it was all for naught because he was only able to kill Kakuzu 3 more times before being crippled by Hidan's strange sacrificial jutsu. They were now standing over his body. He was still alive, but only just so he wouldn't die before the extraction was finished. What an incredible shinobi, Kakuzu exclaimed. He was a formidable opponent even without his Biju. He even managed to annihilate 4 of my hearts. Stop praising the asshole, Kakuzu, and let's get the fuck out of here, Hidan said as he finished his ritual. We need to get to the rendezvous point. If it hadn't been for your stupid rituals, we might have already been there, Kakuzu countered, and while you were praying, I took the liberty to restock. Hidan looked down to his side as he said this and noticed the body of a dark-skinned, bald-headed Kumo ninja. He was dead, but having your heart ripped out of your still-alive body would do that to anyone. I didn't get the other one, he said as he started walking, so we might need to move quickly, he added. Oh, and you're carrying him. Hidan was enraged, but there was nothing he could do. As retaliation for sticking him with the load, he reluctantly took up the body and proceeded to follow Kakuzu while annoying him. In the meantime, Irashi's gates. Irashi's gates were never left unattended or unguarded. Even if it appeared that no one was present, there were at least 2 hidden Chunin. When there were only 2 Chunin guards on duty, there were 2 more hidden nearby. These were usually assassination-related ninja. However, a notice had been sent to the gate guards to expect Hinata and Akira's arrival via the Kagesachi no Jutsu, so the ninja were on high alert because, despite Hinata's mild demeanor, it would not be good to appear negligent when the commander of the assassination department, who happened to be the future wife of the village leader, was present. To make matters worse, the intelligence department's commander was expected to accompany her. This is not a couple you want to mess with. The guards were standing at their posts, taking brief breaks to sit every now and then, when the road leading up to the village began to ripple. What exactly is that jutsu? Could it be Hinata-sama and Akira-sama returning? He wondered. The effects certainly match the description of the jutsu, but we must remain vigilant. His partner agreed as they prepared weapons. A pair of girls, who appeared to be Hinata and Akira, were revealed a short time later. The first guard drew a kunai and approached Hinata, placing an open bottle of water in front of her. "Please accept my apologies for the intrusion," he said, "but could you please confirm your identity?" "Of course," Hinata replied, smiling. As she spoke, the water from the bottle floated out on its own and formed the symbol of Arashi in midair before returning to the bottle. As this was completed, Akira performed 2 hand seals before her current short black hair began to grow longer, only to stop at knee length and begin to turn red. "I think I'm feeling a little red today," she joked. Identity confirmed, the second guard said, welcoming Hinata-sama and Akira-sama home. "And please accept our apologies for the intrusion," the other said. "There is no problem. You are simply performing your duty. If you had let us pass so easily, you would have needed to beg forgiveness." She smiled, a warm, gentle smile, but something about it sent shivers down the 2 guards' spines. When she did that, it was as if a demon was staring at them from behind her back. After leaving the 2 gate guards to their duties, Hinata and Akira took a leisurely stroll towards Kanshisha's office, where Hinata was expected to fill Naruto's shoes until his return. When they arrived at Naruto's office, Akira and Hinata watched as Naruto's secretary placed the last stack of papers on the desk. "Welcome back, Hinata-sama," she bowed. "I was told you'd be filling in for Naruto-sama while he's away?" Hinata nodded dumbly. "Very well. This shall be all for the day because Naruto-sama has requested that all paperwork be delivered on or before midday," she said, gesticulating to the paper city that was currently being built in Kanshisha's office. "Is there anything I may assist you with?" "Yes, there is one thing," she said, staring at the papers. "Please send Jugo no Tenpin." The secretary bowed and exited the room, leaving Hinata to take a seat on the chair. "Surely this won't be as bad as Naruto-kun makes it out to be," she reasoned as she reached for the first piece of paper, only to be interrupted when Akira called her name. "What exactly is it, Nei-chan?" she inquired. "I was planning to talk about moving the black files." The black files are those files and keepsakes kept by the assassination department as proof of mission completion as well as a bargaining chip in the event of treachery, thus the name. "Yes, those files, while safe with the assassination department, would be much more secure and useful under your supervision," Hinata said as she began signing papers. "Do you have proper holding for them yet?" Hinata asked. "Not yet," Akira said as she prepared to leave, "but the preparations will be ready in 3 weeks." She then left the office, leaving Hinata to return to her work. A few minutes later, a knock came on the door, and she invited the person inside. Jugo's towering form and orange hair were revealed as the door opened. "You summoned me?" he asked, bowing. Since he left Naruto's side, the madness within him has grown stronger. Even as he bowed, he could feel the madness creeping up on him as he heard it in his head claiming that today it would kill a woman, and seeing Hinata, the meek tender person that she was, only fueled the dark side of his soul. However, when Hinata told him to raise his head and look into her eyes, the dark side felt fair again and retreated deep into the recesses of his mind like the animal that it was. "So it is true," she said, getting up from behind the desk and stalking towards him. As she approached him, he took an unintentional step. Despite her small stature, she terrified him. He felt as if she was about to kill him right where he stood, and he was tempted to take a fighting stance or give in to his dark impulses. "This evening you will accompany me to continue your training," she said as she returned to her seat and signed paperwork. "Naruto told me you were at a critical stage, right?" Jugo nodded, not wanting to offend her by speaking. "Until then, you'll stick with me. You'd have lost control if I hadn't used my killing intent. I'm doing my best." "Hinata," she said, introducing herself, and I understand, but not for long. With that, she smiled at him, prompting him to reciprocate. Thank you very much, Hinata-sama. That evening, in Kanshisha's office. Hinata-sama, I almost forgot to tell you. Naruto's secretary entered the room to deliver a message left by the advisors. However, as she entered the room, she noticed 7 Hinatas furiously scribbling at the mountain of paperwork still left. Jugo was amusedly watching her from behind what she assumed was the original. What are you doing, Hinata-sama? Machiko inquired. Wasn't it you who barred Kanshisha-sama from using Kage Bunshin to do his work? You stated that he was being lazy and wasting chakra in vain. Under the accusing gaze of Naruto's secretary, Hinata began to sweat. She wasn't a ninja, but she wasn't helpless, and Hinata personally chose her to keep Naruto in line. However, she was now under her scrutiny, which made her feel even smaller. She fought the urge to rub her fingers together valiantly. How about that? The secretary inquired. This, on the other hand, had finally broken her. Hinata began to poke her fingers together and looked up, a sheepish expression on her face. Will I tell if you don't tell? At the very least, she didn't stutter. At the time, Kumo Raikage's office. When a messenger came in with an urgent message, the Raikage was in his office, lifting a rather large set of weights with only one hand. He got down on one knee and told Akatsuki that he had captured the 8-tailed Jinchuriki. He slammed his hand on his table in a fit of rage, smashing it to toothpicks. I'm not going to let the Akatsuki get away with this, he yelled. His secretary stood off to the side, completely calm, as if things like this happened all the time. What are we going to do, Raikage-sama? She inquired, her tone devoid of worry or concern. Just wait, my brother, he said, his eyes filled with rage. Needless to say, it took the Raikage most of the day to calm down enough to think rationally, or as rationally as he could. He sat in his chair, fuming, until he had had enough. Have they discovered anything yet? In his usual loud voice, he demanded. It appears that the attackers were 2 unknown ninja who appeared. All right, spit out. Immortal, she declared. Nonsense. Exclaimed the Raikage, there is no such thing as a true immortal, especially when up against my brother. Yes, but one of our own shinobi witnessed both Akatsuki members receive fatal wounds multiple times, she explained, and he was only able to escape because his partner sacrificed his life so that he could escape and bring this information. He also claimed that his partner's heart had been ripped out of his body and that he had no other wounds. What? The Raikage was forced to sit back and think about what he would do next. There were 2 people out there who could not only defeat his brother, but also live. He clenched his teeth. I want you to organize a summit of the 5 cages, he said loudly, we can't let Akatsuki get away with this. The following day, at one of Orochimaru's bases. The Sound Village, or rather Orochimaru's secret hideouts, were a collection of secret bases scattered across the elemental continent. Fuma Danjo was fortunate to get the base closest to Arashigakure when the dragons were given information on their locations. So he was already searching through the base the next day. He had already approached a few forgotten children and adults with the offer. However, only the children and a few adults were chosen. They were the ones who had not been poisoned by Orochimaru's lust for power, or who were still hopeful enough to trust one last time. That would suffice. A kunai made its way to Danjo's neck as he was about to leave the base. Who are you, and why are you here? Danjo tried to look behind him to see who was attacking him, but the sharp steel of the weapon at his throat quickly made him reconsider. I won't ask you who you are or what you're doing here again, she said. You know, People usually ask for affiliations first, then mission, and then name, Danjo said calmly, but I think you mixed it up. You are not in a position to make stupid remarks, she said, so now answer my questions. Actually, this could be considered a stalemate, Danjo said. I'm the one with the weapon to your throat, she said sinisterly, only for him to laugh. Yes, but I have the information, the Fuma countered, and I know exactly who you are, Gurren, while you have me like this. Big deal, you know my name, she insisted. Perhaps I didn't make myself clear, the man said, his tone becoming more serious, but do you really think I'd be caught so easily by someone I came looking for? She gave a snarl. Obviously, your arrogance hasn't left you, he sighed, but if it's so important to you, my name is Fuma Danjo, and I came with an offer you can't refuse. Fuma? She recognized the name. You're from that clan from Rice Field Country, she said. She said this with a smile on her face. What could a pitiful little clan like yours possibly want with me? Not my clan, he said flatly, we'd have nothing to do with one of Orochimaru's foolish pets. You should be careful what you say, Fuma, she warned, pressing the blade harder, causing blood to trickle. Unfortunately, she was so sure of herself that she didn't notice the strange motions his hand was making. It was too late for her to notice because a chakra string had attached to the hand holding the kunai to his throat and pulled it away. Fuma Danjo sprang into action as soon as she was gone, and tied her up in such a way that she had little room for movement. Gurren struggled, but she soon realized that Fuma chakra strings were far more powerful than they appeared. Since that annoying kunai is no longer in my throat, Danjo explained as he held the end of the chakra string, my master, the Kanshisha of Arashigakure no Sado, requires loyal ninja, so I was hoping to run into you. I thought you didn't want anything to do with me? She snarled, and who do you think I am? My loyalty isn't so cheap. Danjo simply sighed and released the chakra string, allowing it to flow away. The offer will remain open, he said as he walked away, but remember this, unlike Orochimaru, whom you served so wholeheartedly, Kanshisha-sama is both powerful and kind. A person like you, who did things you'd rather not speak of, just to prove your loyalty to someone as disgusting and low as Orochimaru, should just crawl into a hole and die, yet you are receiving a chance to make amends. I wish you luck. With that, he tossed a small card to her, which landed in front of her, with directions to the village written on it. When you change your mind, that is how you will find us. He began to walk away, and let me make this perfectly clear, Kanshisha-sama is no fool. You may want to hide your pride if you meet him. He then walked away, leaving a furious Gurren on the ground. She was enraged by his words, enraged at Sasuke for killing Orochimaru, but most of all, she was enraged at herself. In the meantime, in Konoha, Tsunade, Shikamaru, Shiho, Shizune, Sasuke, and Sakura sat at a table in Konoha, looking over the assembled clues. Even without the interrogation and the autopsy, it was beginning to paint a picture with the metal having been analyzed and its purpose determined, and the message left by Jiraiya decoded. The message left by Jiraiya-sama said the real one is not with them, Shiho wondered. Perhaps they used genjutsu to distract Jiraiya-sama while the other member, the female, attacked from the blind spot, Sakura speculated. That does not seem quite feasible, Shikamaru said, and the elder toad, Fukasaku-sama, said that he was physically killed by all 6 of them. Sasuke's eyes widened slightly in surprise at this. Jiraiya of the Sannin has died? How long have I been out? What about these rods? Shikamaru asked, picking one up. Didn't you say they were chakra receivers? Yes, this was confirmed by the Jiryu no Arashi's metals expert, Kumori Mataza. Tsunade replied, why, do you have an idea? Perhaps those 6 pains, as they call themselves, are being controlled by someone else, he said to Sasuke, who appeared uninterested. But what do you think, Sasuke? You should have some knowledge of this seeing as Orochimaru, and your brother were once members of that organization. Akatsuki, Sasuke said angrily, all I knew about that organization was that Itachi was a member. Of course, Shikamaru said, I should have known. Say whatever you want, he said, but what about this organization that requires your best people to work on it, Tsunade? Tsunade locked her gaze on him. Tsunade smiled as Sasuke corrected himself, Hokage-sama. This organization has been around for a while now. At first, we didn't know what their goal was or who was a member, but Shizune interrupted Tsunade before she could continue. Is it okay to tell him such important information, Tsunade-sama? It's okay, Shizune. The Akatsuki is not a village secret and is in fact a very dangerous group that affects all the hidden villages, and he of all people should at least know. After all, 2 of his closest people are involved. The group nodded, leaving Sasuke wondering who else besides Itachi was involved in Akatsuki and why they were so concerned about it. You see, Sasuke, Akatsuki is a group of S-class missing. Sasuke's eyes widened as images of a giant red fox trapped inside a blonde-haired boy flashed through his mind. What do you mean? That's right, Sakura said, her gaze piercing Sasuke's. They're after Naruto, and we have to do everything we can to help him, and you should, too. Why? Sasuke asked, his face devoid of emotion or concern. He wears a different symbol now and, from what I've heard, leads a different village. All I want is to get my questions answered, so why should I or any of you for that matter waste your time and effort helping out the Dobi? If I remember correctly, none of you cared much for him, or me, so why start now? Sakura was initially irritated by those words, partly because of who said them and partly because they were true. Except for Tsunade, everyone else bowed their heads in shame. Well, you're still here, so you owe him your life, Tsunade said, breaking the tension, and secondly, he is an ally of this village, and it may not be something a person like you would understand, but we don't abandon our comrades, and besides, if Naruto could even give you a second chance, maybe there is hope for us. Sakura clenched her fist as Sasuke simply grunted and turned his head. It may seem strange that Sakura, who still loved the last Uchiha in Konoha, would be willing to punch a hole in him for his words, but when you consider that the person he was insulting was the reason he was alive, and was also the person she wanted forgiveness from more than anything else, love had to take a back seat. Besides, as one of Konoha's top medics, and with the other 2 top medics in the same room, there wasn't much she could do to help the boy. She was a split second away from leaping across the table and slamming her fist through his head, but Shikamaru's sudden announcement distracted her. I think it's some kind of puppet technique, Shikamaru said, drawing the attention of the room's occupants back to the subject. What do you mean, Shikamaru-san, like Suna's puppet techniques? Shiho inquired. Yes and no, confused faces again, troubling. Okay. The message said that the real one wasn't with them, and these black rods can receive and transmit chakra. What if there was another person controlling these 6 with his chakra from some unknown location? That makes sense, Tsunade said, but it would take an incredibly strong chakra and will to freely control the movements of 6 different individuals at the same time in such a way that he could kill Jiraiya. This would be a very dangerous ninja. Sakura added, Fukasaku-sama did say that they each possessed the Rinnegan. Shizune exclaimed, and Sasuke's attention was drawn once more when he heard that one word. Perhaps that was what he was trying to convey with the message, Shizune said, quickly rising to her feet. There is only one Rinnegan user, and he was the one controlling the 6. That being the case, it's not so hard to believe. The Rinnegan was a fabled dojutsu said to be possessed by the Rakudo Sennin himself. If this person truly does possess the... I see, Tsunade replied, but what about the autopsy and interrogation? Because we didn't have to analyze the rods ourselves, it took a significant amount of time off the schedule, allowing me to finish the analysis yesterday. All I found was that the person didn't have the Rinnegan after his death and the rods, Shizune sighed, there was nothing else. Ibiki-san is having some difficulties, so he had to call in Inoichi-san, Sakura explained, but preliminary reports indicate that he, too, has hit some roadblocks, but he is still trying. Alright, Tsunade said, because your team was the only one to have ever traveled to Arashigakure, you are to deliver these findings to them, and I would like you to deliver it personally to Naruto if you can, because he is in danger. Hello, Hokage-sama, Kakashi said as he walked away, Sakura close behind. However, as he was leaving, Sasuke was about to get up and join them when the look in Sakura's eyes reminded him that he was no longer a member of Team 7. Team 7 no longer existed because he destroyed it the day he abandoned them. Nothing will matter anymore. Sasuke remembered the letter's words, I have to find out, I have to know. Tsunade getting out of her chair and leaving the room jolted him out of his own world. He walked behind her, noticing briefly that he had zoned out long enough for everyone to dismiss him and go about their business. As they walked to Tsunade's office, Sasuke realized that this might be his only chance to meet with Naruto because a team was on its way there right now. They soon arrived at Tsunade's office, where she took her seat and resumed signing papers. Instead of sitting in one of the room's comfortable chairs or standing behind her as her bodyguard, Sasuke stood in front of the table staring at her. Tsunade didn't look up from her paper. What is it now, Sasuke? She asked, urging him to spit it out. I'd like to accompany Kakashi and his team to Arashigakure, he stated flatly. Tsunade came to a halt, leaned back in her chair, and looked at him with her eyes wide open. You are aware that you cannot be trusted by those who know the truth, at least not without the presence of two Anbu to keep you out of trouble. I don't care, he said, do whatever you have to do, but if I have to leave without your permission again to get what I want, you know what will happen, he said, determination and defiance burning in his eyes. Yes, more than you think, Tsunade said, her voice sad, the last time, I didn't pursue you with Hunter Nin, but if there is a next time, I would be forced to do what your brother wouldn't. Sasuke snarled at the threat but kept his hands still. Tsunade groaned. I hate you more than any person alive or dead, Sasuke, Tsunade said, causing Sasuke to look at her in a way that wanted to know but dared her if she knew what true hatred was. To me, Naruto was the last family I had, and you took him away, you know what that is like, right? Sasuke's face became somewhat guilty at this point. However, he is not dead, and if what you have told me is true and you have not lost your soul, then I can understand, at least in part, what you are going through. She took a blank scroll, wrote something on it, and rolled it up while saying this. Here, she said as she handed him the object, 2 Anbu operatives will meet you at the gate, Kakashi and his team will not be far but you should be able to catch up. He should be leaving from the north gate. Sasuke stood there stunned, clutching the scroll in his hands. His expression was not the typical shocked expression. It was more of a somber expression of someone attempting to calculate something. Tsunade's voice, however, quickly brought him back to reality. Just make sure you give that scroll to the Arashi people so they don't kill you on the spot, as well as to Kakashi to validate your departure. Sasuke said as he walked out the door, but as he reached for the handle, he turned back and said, Thank you, Hokage-sama. Just leave my office, Tsunade said. And don't make any noise. Sasuke then walked away. At Orochimaru's base, with Gurren. What is left for me? She wondered. Orochimaru-sama is gone because of that jerk Uchiha. Gurren had returned to this base in the hopes of proving the rumors to be just that, rumors. She broke down and cried when she realized it was true. She had no idea why she was crying. She disliked Orochimaru. She was fiercely loyal to him and envious of his power, but she did not like him. She was far too proud for that. Perhaps she cried because, now that he was gone, the thing that had endeared her to him was false and gone, his power. The fool who cheerfully informed her of the news looked at her in disgust and tried to realign her allegiances. He wasn't even dead yet, and he was already regretting his mistake. I have nothing to lose, she reasoned, so going to this Kanshisha, or whatever he calls himself, might be a good idea. Maybe I'll get the chance to kill Uchiha Sasuke. With that in mind, she left Otto and headed for the storm. Later that afternoon, Mayubokuzen. Amazing. Just amazing, the elderly toad said with a smile. You mastered Sennin mode yesterday, and now you've mastered Toad Kumite. Thank you. I owe it all to a great trainer and the Black Rod of Correction, Naruto joked, before getting serious, but this form appears to have some disadvantages. Oh ho, so you already knew that, the toad said, but there is a slight disadvantage. No offense, Gamma Gigi, Naruto said, but despite the fact that the immense power that comes with Sennin mode, as well as being able to sense so many things, the fact that I would have to stay perfectly still means that it would be useless in the midst of a battle. I'd give my adversary too many opportunities, and if I had allies, they'd be put in an awkward position to protect me. Not to mention that it does not last indefinitely and eventually runs out. None taken, Naruto-chan, everything you've said is correct, but there is a way to compensate, he said, smiling. It's actually similar to how your order managed to reach as far as they did with partial senjutsu. How so, exactly? The method that allows you to gather natural energy while moving is to keep your spirit still, he explained, his green face filled with wonder. Well, this method is not too different, but what will happen is that we will fuse, so that while one moves, one gathers natural energy. Ah. When you mention fuse. It'll be more like me riding on your shoulder, the toad explained, sensing Naruto's discomfort and confusion. When Jiraiya was fighting, he had both me and Ma with him. Oh, I see, Naruto said, is that what we'll be doing next? Yes, the toad replied as he led Naruto outside. When they got outside, they started training, but a problem arose, a problem that had been the source of most of Naruto's other problems his entire life. Every time Fukasaku hopped on his shoulders and they tried to fuse, he was thrown off Naruto's shoulders. It appears that the Kyuubi is rejecting me, he expressed disappointment. Naruto, on the other hand, did not appear as disappointed or surprised as he was. You seem to be handling it well, the elder toad observed. That's because I kind of expected it to happen, he said, seeing the look on the toad's face that prompted him to explain. Even though it is sealed, there is still another soul inside me, and if you fuse with me, you are essentially fusing with him as well, and let me tell you, he is not kind. Yes, that is correct, he said as he rose to his feet, but it also means that any time you use Sage Mode, you must be protected by strong allies. Perhaps, Naruto said as he began to think of something. Gamma Gigi, what do you think would happen if my shadow clone gathered Sage Mode? Hello, no Kuni, not far from Konoha's gates. Team Kakashi was moving quickly in the direction of the new whirlpool when Kakashi raised his hand, causing the team to come to a halt. It appears that Konoha has sent up reinforcements. Sakura turned to greet the aide, but her mood changed when she saw who it was, but it was a mixture of displeasure and something else. Her heart still belonged to him. Hopping through the trees at a fast pace towards them, was none other than Uchiha Sasuke with an escort of 2 Anbu. Uchiha, what are you doing here? Don't you have someone to stab in the back somewhere? He snarled. Sasuke simply ignored him, not even a grunt, and turned to Kakashi, handing him a scroll, which he read, and upon seeing the Hokage's personal seal, he looked up and explained. Alright, team, the Hokage has granted permission for Sasuke to accompany us on this mission as long as he completes it. Kiba smirked at Sasuke as he said, the Anbu escort is here to keep him under control. From now on I expect you all to work as a team. This is a vital mission of the utmost importance. I will tolerate no disharmony from anyone. The smirk on Kiba's face vanished as Kakashi rolled the scroll up and handed it back to Sasuke. You'll need this to avoid being killed. Alright, he said, turning back to the team. As I previously stated, this is typically a day-and-a-half trip. However, due to the urgency of the mission, we will not be stopping for any reason. We will travel through the night and not stop for any reason. Let us now leave. They were all gone in a blur of speed after that. Currently unknown location. The killer bee floated above the ground, surrounded by a white cloud of energy and several figures in black cloaks with red clouds adorning them, appearing dead to the world as the chakra of the beast within him was ripped from his being through his mouth and eyes. All was well until the chakra suddenly stopped, and the killer bee that was there turned into a tentacle and flopped to the ground. It appears that the zombie brothers messed up, Kisame said. A tentacle, Zetsu's gentler side said before breaking out in laughter, only to be reprimanded by his darker half because he didn't find it funny. That fucking son of a bitch, Hidan cursed. I will kill him for sure when I get my hands on him. It's your fault for underestimating him, Hidan, Kakuzu chastised. What? How the fuck was this my fucking fault? He raged. He kicked both our asses, and I want payback. Their projection faded as they left to argue further and possibly kill each other. Those two will never change, Kisame said as he walked away. Where else? Inquired Zetsu's rougher side. I just thought of something. As he walked away, the grin on his face indicated that someone, somewhere was about to be brutally murdered. In the meantime, at Unraikyo, under the lake, a braided head of hair emerged from the water, looking left and right before breaking into a smile and diving back under. Good thing no one is here. He began walking as he emerged from the water, and while he appeared to be in a daze, he was actually having a conversation. B. This is not the way back to Kumo, the beast within said. Shouldn't you be returning after such a fight? I just defeated two immortals and they gave me a way out, so I'm walking through to freedom like it's a portal. Would you stop rhyming? Asked the beast. You're no good at it anyway. The killer bee sweated. Besides, even though you could easily kill them, you should have made sure they never came after you again, the beast reprimanded. What were you thinking? They could come back for you at any time. It's okay, 8-0. I just wanted to get out of the village for a while, he explained. Anyway, from now on, instead of rapping, I'll be doing. The Hachibi could only laugh at his host's folly. There is a genjutsu barrier field that extends for about 3 miles outside the walls of Arashi. The barrier was not to keep people out, nor was the genjutsu to turn people away. It was simply an early warning system similar to Konoha's. The genjutsu field was meant to gently guide any traveler directly to the village's front gates. This system was one of the seals in the scroll given to Naruto by Master Kyoshi, and it was set up as a result of the constant attempts at spying on Arashi. Who knew that the major and even smaller villages would find them so interesting, even though every attempt had failed, some bloody, some not so much. To navigate the genjutsu barrier field, ninja were taught to travel through it in a specific manner before dispelling the effects on themselves. This ensured the authenticity of the ninja's loyalty, while Junin-level ninja were taught a special seal sequence that would shield them from the effects of the genjutsu. The barrier field still took effect when leaving the village, but as long as one stayed on the orange road, everything was fine. Whether coming in or going out, dispelling it would be of little use, because the continuous effects of the genjutsu caused the victim to be trapped not long after it was initially broken. Unfortunately, Hoshigaki Kisame was not a genjutsu master, and while his experience allowed him to temporarily break the genjutsu on himself, he realized that attacking the village from the front and at night was very foolish. Since setting foot in the barrier, he had realized that he was in one and, sensing the fluctuations in his chakra, immediately cancelled it and returned the way he came. Positioning your village with the ocean at your back is excellent positioning, he thought to himself as he walked away to rest for the day, but against me, Hoshigaki Kisame, it might as well be a road lined with flower petals. On the surface, Konoha appeared to be a peaceful and docile village, which it was in many ways. Unfortunately, this had led to many villages believing they were helpless. They thought that, but they were not foolish enough to believe it. Among all the hidden villages, Konoha may be the most accurate representation of what a true ninja and ninja village should be. They never boasted, were not arrogant, did not try to put on a cold indifference to strangers, and did not have to demonstrate why they were strong, at least in general. They didn't have to do these things for a variety of reasons. Their standards were high, their shinobi were powerful, they protected each other in both the light and the shadows, and they were created by the two most powerful ninja clans. Even on this day, when the sun was shining, the breeze was cool and calm, and everything seemed to be in order, the ninja of Konoha scurried about defending and keeping a watchful eye on the perimeters. Unfortunately, this tranquility was only the calm before the storm, as the ninja who patrolled the village's perimeter were killed suddenly and without warning. In this case, the assailant or assailants could have appeared as a group of 6 siblings, with similar orange hair, a penchant for body piercings, black cloaks with red clouds on them, and rippled gray eyes. The 7th member, a calm-looking woman, wore similar clothing to the others but had blue hair with a paper flower in it. The first 6, however, were not siblings. They were Akatsuki, and they had finally arrived. They had organized themselves and communicated their intentions to the blue-haired woman, and they were prepared. Allow them to feel pain. In the meantime, the gates of Arashigakure. Kakashi and his team had been running all night and into the morning to get to their destination. There would undoubtedly be some aching muscles, but they would fuel themselves with the thought of their mission and soldier pills. The latter would have negative consequences, but that can be addressed later. Sasuke and Kakashi realized they had all stumbled into a massive genjutsu when they entered the barrier genjutsu field. Kakashi and Sasuke could use their Sharingan to find their way through, but when a ninja appeared behind them, everyone turned and braced themselves for battle. "Who are you, and what are you doing here?" he inquired. A white kabuki mask covered his face. The mask was painted with a face depicting genuine and unadulterated joy. It made you feel safe and unsafe, trust and distrust, hope and despair, because the mask said one thing but what was underneath was anyone's guess. This was an assassination ninja, one of the few with a key through the genjutsu field. "My name is Hitaki Kakashi, Junin of Konoha, and this is my team," he said, motioning to his team, "and we have a message straight from Hokage-sama to Kanshisha-sama regarding the leader of Akatsuki." The ninja appeared to stiffen slightly upon hearing this. "Give me a look," he said, holding out his hand. "Pardon me, but I was told to give this to the Kanshisha or the person immediately beneath him." "Very well," he said as he drew his hands back, "allow me to escort you the way. Stay close to me or you'll get lost in this forest, only to arrive at the gate several hours later." After that, the ninja performed 5 hand seals before a tattoo on his left forearm began to glow and they took off at a rapid pace towards the storm. They arrived at the gates after a few minutes of breakneck speed, and what they saw shocked them. In the streets, people were running and panicking. When they looked in the direction they were fleeing, they saw a wave, no, a massive tsunami raging towards the storm village. Kakashi turned his gaze to the wave that had already reached the land and was on its way to the first house. He looked around, not knowing where Naruto was or who could have launched such a devastating jutsu. With the exception of Sasuke and his escort, the Konoha team was about to run in that direction to assist whoever they could and possibly lessen the impact. They were about to leave when they were stopped by the masked ninja. "Your mission is to deliver a message. Anything else will jeopardize it." Kakashi simply took the scroll and tossed it to the ninja, who caught it with ease. "I'm sure you can get it to the appropriate authorities?" the ninja asked, nodding. "All right team, let's see how many people we can get out of them before it reaches the village." Sasuke was about to say something, but a quick glare from Kakashi silenced him and made him compliant, even though he knew he would hear about it later. They took off in the direction of the wave, all the way to the end of the village in a matter of seconds, hoping to save those who were in the most danger. When they arrived, Sakura noticed a little girl standing in a tree, staring out at the wave. Sakura wondered if the girl had a death wish or if she had become trapped in the tree. "Don't worry, I'll get you down in a second," Sakura said as she ran up the side of the tree. Sakura, however, pushed the pinkette away and shook her head as she was about to wrap her arms around the girl. "No, don't," the youngster said, "I want to see her stop the big wave." "You mean, there's someone else out there?" Sakura exclaimed, stunned. "MMHMM, she said, smiling and pointing in the direction of the wave. Sakura looked out at the approaching wave, unsure if she could still save someone so close to the water. Tsunamis were extremely fast, but to a ninja, they were as slow as molasses. Regardless, ninjas are not miracle workers. Well, that depends on your definition of a miracle. However, what Sakura saw in the distance astounded her. Is she insane? She wondered as she turned on her radio. "We have an emergency, Kakashi-sensei." "What exactly is it?" he inquired, "and are you in any danger?" "No, but Hinata-san is literally standing in the path of the wave, just a few hundred meters away." Kakashi inquired, "Who is the closest?" "I am, but I will not make it in time," Sasuke admitted. "Damn you," Kakashi pronounced a curse. As the Konoha team watched the approaching tsunami, they noticed her reaching out her hands in the direction of the wave. What is she up to? Is she insane? Run, Hinata, you have nothing to lose. These were just a few of the ideas that ran through their heads. What they saw next, however, would be something they would remember for the rest of their lives, because instead of crushing Hinata and washing her further inland, the wave simply slowed and stopped in front of her outstretched hands. If that wasn't enough, she then thrust her hands towards the ocean, and the wave receded to the ocean like an obedient child. When a large blue man with shark-like eyes and gills appeared from beneath the sand and delivered a devastating kick to Hinata's midsection, the Konoha team was quickly shaken. He then drew the swords from his back and dashed after her, intending to sever her in half. However, she gained control of herself while flying, and when she landed, Kisame was already on her. Kisame swung his sword down at her, intending to sever her head, but she rolled out of the way just in time. Kisame, on the other hand, was not finished yet, as he followed with a horizontal strike. Kisame was an excellent swordsman as well as a powerful, skilled, and experienced ninja, and sometimes experience alone makes all the difference. So, for someone like Hinata, who was at a disadvantage despite her powerful skills, it was no surprise that being caught off guard while unarmed would take its toll. However, Kisame misjudged her. As the sword approached her, it abruptly came to a halt, as if blocked by something. When he realized his strike had been blocked, he took a close look at his downed opponent. What he saw caught him off guard and gave him a predatory grin. She held a chakra-infused blade in her hand. "So the little bird has claws," Kisame explained as he prepared to strike again with his sword. The downed girl could only smile. "That's not a bad idea," she said, and just as Kisame was about to finish her off, he had to stop his attack and jump away from Hinata's chakra claw. Unfortunately, he did not escape unscathed, as 4 claw marks now adorned the left side of his face. That is quite unexpected. The ability to form a katana and claws out of pure chakra in such short amounts of time that is even capable of blocking my attacks speaks highly of your skill, and your talent in water chakra manipulation is most impressive, but a discarded princess like you is way out of your league, he said as he prepared another attack. Before he could take another step forward, he had to avoid a swath of nearly invisible thread that cut through everything in its path with no resistance, followed by a clawed hand rising from the ground. While he was able to avoid these, he was barely able to avoid the fireball that was aimed at the spot where he would land. "I see reinforcement has arrived," says the captain. 3 ninja appeared next to Hinata as he said this. "What is the situation?" Hinata inquired. "Everything is under control, Hinata-sama, and this area is currently being separated," Kuga-kai said, "and we didn't find any other enemy ninja in the area, so it appears that he attacked on his own." "I see," she said as she activated her Byakugan. "It's not surprising given the amount of chakra you have, but..." Hinata locked her gaze on him. "What do you think you're going to accomplish by attacking this village? You should know you're not going to leave here alive." Kisame simply laughed at this. "I came for 3 reasons," he explained: to retrieve my sword, to confirm the location of the Kyuubi, and to ensure that no Akatsuki secrets fell into the wrong hands. "Right, Itachi-san?" Break. As the Konoha ninja watched, they were all taken aback to see Hinata, the little girl who appeared to be too afraid to step out into the sun at times, facing down a ninja like Hoshigaki Kisame. However, after hearing the name Uchiha Itachi, this shock rendered them all immobile. What is a monster like that doing in a place like this, and fighting with Hinata, against the Akatsuki? Sakura wondered. This and much more ran through Sasuke's mind as he stared at the only exposed part of his brother's face, his cold, coal-black eyes. "It is him," he thought, "but why are you here? Why are you assisting them? Why haven't you returned? Why haven't you told me?" "Calm down, Sasuke," Kakashi said, turning to face the rest of the squad. "As allies we must help where needed, and Hoshigaki Kisame is not someone who can be beaten easily." The Konoha team approached Hinata from the sidelines. Sasuke looked at Itachi's face, and even though the mask he was wearing obscured his face, the eyes remained the same. Itachi, on the other hand, paid no attention to him as he kept a close eye on Kisame. He had been the man's partner for over 3 years and knew that even though he was outnumbered and cornered, he would not back down from this fight and would use any advantage or distraction to his advantage. He also knew that Hoshigaki Kisame was not stupid. Despite Kisame's years of experience and monstrous chakra, he knew Kisame couldn't beat the ninja who were here, so all they had to do was not die, and he would retreat, so Sasuke would have to wait until then. Kisame looked around at the assembled ninja and smiled that shark-like smile that terrified many lesser ninja. "It appears that I am at a significant disadvantage," he said as he stowed the sword, 2 Uchihas, Sharingan Kakashi, and a Hyuga, not exactly the best odds. "You shouldn't have come here, Kisame," Itachi pointed out. "After realizing that my partner had blocked some of my memory, I just had to find out why," he continued in a conversational tone. "Imagine my surprise to find that same partner of mine teaming up with the enemy." "You sound like we might actually tell you. Or that you can force it from us," Akira said, "but you are an enemy ninja who knows far too much." "Hey, it was worth a shot," he remarked before flashing through a series of seals, Sweden, Bakusu Sha. A raging gout of water erupted from his mouth, rushing towards the ninja. It was so massive that they realized they couldn't escape the jutsu and would eventually be swept up in the technique, and running wouldn't help. "Akira Ne-chan, Itachi-san, take everyone and move back," some objected, but she continued, "This includes you and your team, Kakashi-san, and I shall be more than enough to deal with him." They all hopped away with the wave mere meters from her, with a sweet smile that made them realize there was no room for argument. "You're either brave or very stupid," Kisame said as he rode atop the wave he had created, his sword poised to strike, "but you'll need a bigger sacrifice than you, little girl." Kisame's grin widened even more when she didn't make a move to flee or prepare a counter, assuming she could counter such a jutsu. Kisame was about to relieve her of her head when the wave abruptly stopped in front of her, with him just outside of his reach, and a tendril of water shot out and caught his sword arm. At the same time, A larger tendril of water approached Hinata, but instead of attacking or binding her, it gushed at her feet, and with a step from Hinata, she was propelled towards Kisame and delivered a vicious kick, causing spit and other matter to emerge from his mouth and propelling him back into the water. Meanwhile, the Konoha ninjas, Akira, and the others were all in awe of the display. Despite this, some remained skeptical of her chances of victory. Kisame is an S-class missing nin for a reason. What are her realistic chances of winning this fight? Kakashi inquired. This isn't going to be a fight. It'll be more like a cat playing with prey. It's a completely bad matchup. Kakashi's and the others' eyes widened, and they were about to rush off to help her when an earth wall appeared in their path. Where do you think you're going? Akira inquired as she emerged from behind the wall. Why are you in our way? Hinata-san will need our assistance, Itachi asked. You said it yourself. Kakashi tried to persuade her, it's a completely bad match. Yes, it is a bad matchup. Akira said with a smirk that irritated the majority of the gathered ninja, for Kisame. What do you mean? Sasuke inquired, realizing that Kisame was no ordinary shinobi. Akira simply lowered the barrier and sat on a nearby boulder. Pay attention, she advised, you might learn something. Hinata had fought Kisame with everything she had, and while she had managed to force him back to the ocean, Kisame's grin told her that her previous efforts would not be enough for what was to come. Kisame looked at his opponent across the water of the ocean where they were standing. She was half his size, half his age, and her chakra capacity was less than his, but she held her own against him. Of course, he wasn't going all out. After all, if he did, the fight would be over too soon, and he was having a great time. She'd already managed to catch him off guard with a few tricks that caught him off guard. She was able to nullify his jutsu not once, but twice. However, he was fairly certain that there was some sort of trick to it, and she couldn't keep it up for long. Her chakra mastery was admirable, and he would give credit where credit was due. Kisame would respect her, and to show how much he respected her, he would stop holding back, hoping she wouldn't die just so he could fight her again. As it was, the fight was already over because the odds were stacked against him. He had most of his chakra, was a safe distance away, and was currently surrounded by water. You are a great ninja, girl, you have a lot of skill and strength, and I respect that, Kisame said as he sheathed his katana, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to stop holding back and end this fight, but first, please tell me the name of such an excellent warrior. Your words mean a lot coming from a reputed shinobi like yourself, she said with a gentle smile on her face, but I cannot allow you to continue being a threat to my comrades and Naruto-kun. Ah, so the Kyuubi Jinchuriki is here, Kisame explained, so if you survive my next move, we will definitely meet again. The statement, however, did not intimidate or enrage Hinata. In fact, she seemed to find it amusing, judging by the look of mirth on her face. Kisame was perplexed as to what was causing this strange behavior. You were mistaken about many things, Hoshigaki Kisame, she said, and seeing his puzzled expression, she continued, I let that information slip because there is no hope for you now. You will take that information to your grave. Kisame could only laugh. I respect that again, he said as he prepared his jutsu, but this is the end, girl. Uzumaki Hinata, she said, and as she watched Kisame perform what was most likely his greatest water jutsu, she added, that is my name, or soon to be. Kisame released his jutsu as she finished. Sweden. Daikden no Jutsu, he said as he thrust his hands out, causing a great shark of water to fly at her with rows of teeth. Kisame stood there, not bothering to defend herself. Why would she? It would be pointless as any chakra-based barrier would only fall and amplify the attack. Any counterattack would only strengthen the attack. She was too close, and that jutsu was too fast and powerful to avoid. Kisame realized it was hopeless. Kisame could tell by the look on her face. Despite her calm demeanor, he knew it was all she could do to put up a brave front and meet her end like a true warrior. Another reason to admire her. Even her irritating jutsu to repel water technique couldn't stop it. However, as confident and forward as he appeared to be at times, he was not stupid and did not live so long by being caught off guard. Senji Kisame, Sweden. Kisame rode atop the massive wall of 1,000 sharks, riding atop it like a god of the sea on his chariot of waves. Even if she managed to stop the first technique, there would be no stopping or escaping the next one. Kisame, on the other hand, made two simple errors that he would never have the chance to reflect on. His first blunder was failing to pay attention to his surroundings. He should have noticed how calm the ocean was, far calmer than any ocean or sea had any right to be. It was a simple mistake, but given his mastery of Suidan Jutsu, it made little difference to him. His second blunder was fighting Hinata on such a large body of water. That, according to Hazuka Suigetsu, is nothing short of suicide. In Kisame's defense, how could he have known that water reacted to Hinata as if it were a part of her body? So, to Kisame's great surprise and fear, his first technique not only stopped, but was reduced back to water, and the imperial wall of sharks he was riding not only stopped, but turned on him and began tearing away at him in a frenzy that all sharks were known for. He couldn't fathom how this could have happened. Everything went to hell after she saw her raise her hands. It was unfathomable. How? He asked, bloodied, broken, and missing limbs and chunks of flesh. Hinata, to his credit, was taking deep breaths. Controlling that much water is difficult, no matter how you look at it. She didn't have time to be tired, though, as a few tendrils of water snaked their way around Kisame, bringing him up to his knees. "You are one of the best Suidan users around," she said as a sword of pure chakra formed in her hand, "but I have surpassed the level of chakra nature manipulation," she said, "water itself is part of my will." She then lowered the sword, bringing the chapter of Hoshigaki Kisame, Kirigakure no Kaijin to a close. With the exception of Akira, all of the ninja who were on the shore watching the fight couldn't believe what they had just witnessed. This was not a fight. It was what happened when a sleeping dragon was roused and then taunted by a goat. The goat would be eaten as if it were a snack. Hinata had not only beaten Kisame, but she had devoured him in a way that made the powerful man look like a child. A mismatch indeed, Kakashi observed as Hinata returned to shore and handed Kisame's head to Kai. "Have it returned to Kiri," she said, turning to face the group of stunned ninja, "and now, Kakashi-san, how may I assist you?" Kakashi still looked at her dumbly before being startled by Sasuke's voice. "Hinata, where is Naruto?" "There's something I need to talk to him about," he said, and then, as if by chance, he added, "And how is he hearing?" "Don't speak out of turn, Sasuke. Forgive him. He's been under some stress recently," Kakashi said, "and we came as quickly as we could by Tsunade orders Samas to deliver a very important message that must be given directly to the Kanshisha." "I see," Hinata said as she walked back towards the village, motioning for the other ninja to follow, "but your timing couldn't be worse because he isn't in the village right now." "Is it very important?" That rendered their journey pointless. "It's what we've learned about the Akatsuki leader, Pain," Kakashi replied. "Who did he delegate authority to?" "That would be me," she said solemnly, "let us talk about it in the office." Sasuke's short fuse had finally worn out as they walked. "What on earth do you mean he's not here?" Mayubokuzen, the Toad Village, where everything was bigger than it should be. It didn't matter whether it was in some faraway place or in a dimension far removed from the world Naruto knew at this point in time as he lay on a plant's leaf. The leaf was the size of a king-sized bed, and in front of him was a book titled, Tale of a Gutsy Ninja, and he had a small smile on his face. To him, the character in the book appeared to be living the life he was born to live and being the type of person he always imagined himself as a perfect ninja. It wasn't so much the character's name, which he happened to share, as it was his determination, the same determination and willingness to never give up that others had always told him he possessed. It was like reading a biography of himself. Naruto, the brave shinobi, the legend. There you were, Naruto-chan. Naruto looked up from his now completed book to see Fukasaku hopping towards him. When Naruto saw him, he smiled. "I've been looking everywhere for you," he said, "but where do you go when you disappear?" Naruto grinned as he scratched the back of his head. "Nowhere important, just exploring this amazing place," he explained. "So, what appears to be the problem? Has something happened?" "Yes, I have just received word that Konoha has been attacked." "What and by whom?" "Akatsuki," he asked before Naruto stood up and started walking towards the house. "Where are you going, Naruto-chan?" "I'm going to prepare for battle. However, I'll need your assistance to get there." "I see, but why would you do such a thing?" Naruto looked at the toad, stunned and perplexed. "After returning the Uchiha, you owe Konoha nothing," he began, "because you don't live there, and the villagers celebrated your death. Furthermore, my sources tell me that the only people who know where your village is not in Konoha, leaving only the Hokage, and Tsunade-chan is strong, she won't say anything. So tell me, why even bother?" "There are many reasons," Naruto explained. "I am the new leader of the ancient shinobi way, observing and recording is my duty, but most importantly, despite everything you said, I still have people in Konoha that are precious to me, and if there is only one, then that is enough to protect them, but most importantly, if I simply abandon Konoha, then that would prove nothing at all. The cycle of hatred has to end somewhere and it has to begin with someone." He then turned and continued. "I couldn't have said it better myself. You truly are the child of prophecy," thought the toad. Konoha. The village was in shambles. Buildings had been destroyed, and many people lay dead in the street, but there was still hope as Tsunade used her chakra to save as many people as she could. However, not everyone was so fortunate. Many people did not survive. Tsunade sat on the building's roof within a circular seal, 4 Anbu guarding her cardinal points from within the circle, when the main instigator of this disaster appeared behind her as if he had fallen from the sky. To protect their Hokage from the threat, the Anbu reacted quickly and drew their weapons. When Tsunade turned around and looked him in the eyes, a burning pillar of fire appeared within his Rinnegan. "It's him," one Anbu said, 6 piercings in his nose and 7 in his ears. Tsunade then recognized the face. "You," she pointed out. "Long time no see, Tsunade," the God Realm said. "You're the last of the Sannin, and I've been wanting to speak with you." "You're that kid," Tsunade recalled from a long time ago. "It appears you recall me," he said. "Do you know him?" asked an Anbu of Tsunade. "A little," she agreed. "Who is he?" inquired the Anbu. Pain responded before Tsunade could say anything. "The god who will bring order back," he said. Despite the fact that his face was emotionless and his voice was monotonous, the power in his words carried and caused the Anbu guarding Tsunade to flinch. Despite the distance, they could sense his power. "He's not your average ninja, that's for sure," the Anbu stated. It was obvious, but the God Realm's power almost forced him to say it, but pain ignored him as he focused on Tsunade. "Where is Uzumaki Naruto, and where is the Kyuubi?" he inquired. "Who knows," she boldly stated. "I have almost all the Jinchuriki," he said. "The ninja villages have lost the Biju's equilibrium. It's no use hiding the Kyuubi, the fighting will start soon. The embers of war are already smoldering, and we will control the war." If you cooperate, I'll be willing to help you. You must be aware of the situation. Of our power. Don't underestimate the Godem Hokage, Tsunade yelled. You're just a bunch of terrorists trying to destroy the stability our forefathers worked for. Whatever you say means nothing. The god realm closed his eyes, as if in deep thought, at her words. Then his eyes opened, causing the wind to blow and the Anbu to brace themselves against the power of his chakra. Don't be so arrogant, he advised. I'm not saying Konohagakure did everything right, Tsunade responded, but I won't accept your way of doing things. Be careful what you say. This is your final warning from God, Pain warned. Tell me where Naruto is? Tsunade gave him a defiant stare. We will fight you with everything we have, she said before continuing, and you are wrong about one thing. Tsunade assumed the diva path was looking at her with curiosity. You'll never get what you want the most, she warned. If you believe Konoha's ninja can protect Naruto indefinitely. That's not it, she cut him off, causing him to look confused, and with a smile, she quelled his confusion with 3 words. Naruto is strong. Unfortunately, Tsunade's steadily growing confidence was quickly rendered useless. Arashigakure no Sado, located in the new Uzumaki no Kuni, he said, seems that Naruto is not here. How did he know? Tsunade wondered. It appears that there is no need to linger here any longer. Tsunade called him a bastard. She was about to launch herself at him when her Anbu intervened and made her see sense. It would be better to let them go and reinforce the village, and hopefully Kakashi would have delivered the message to the Storm Village. Hopefully, they'll be ready for them. They would help where they could, but there was nothing Konoha could do anymore. However, the God Realm spoke as he turned his back. And one last thing, he said, is that chakra in your feet to protect against my technique? I guess that means you're well aware of my abilities. Tsunade was turning red as he said this. They were well aware of his abilities, but it had come at a high cost. You great nations have proven that everything is meaningless in the face of great power, he said. You! Screamed one of the Anbu, but was ignored as Pain continued his rant. You think you're the only ones who matter, that you can postpone death, but peace has made you foolish and thoughtless, he said, staring off into the distance. If you kill someone, someone else will kill you. Hatred binds you together. Tsunade was no longer willing to listen at this point. Enough of your nonsense, she said, but he didn't stop there. War causes pain, injury, and death on both sides. The great nations have suffered as well, she countered, adding, I've had enough of your accusations. Pain raised his head to meet her gaze. Don't make me laugh, he said before lowering himself to the ground. I want you to feel pain, think about pain, accept pain, and know pain. Does he have anything else planned? Tsunade inquired as he launched himself into the sky. Those who have never known pain will never know true peace. Meanwhile, across Konoha, all summons began to spontaneously vanish, as did the paths of pain. Many Konoha ninja, those who remained conscious, believed that they were retreating and that it was all over, but those who knew better were proven correct when they looked up and saw the black-cloaked god realm floating over Konoha. Tsunade had no idea what he was about to do, but whatever it was, it couldn't have been good, and all she could do was protect her ninja as best she could from whatever he unleashed, if she could. Pain looked down from the sky at the village of Konoha. They were like ants to him, and now that the other paths had been blocked, he spread his arms wide and unleashed pain on the foolish mortals. I am Shinra Tensai. He had launched his attack, and all that remained was to wait and watch the pain he had inflicted, hoping that now that they had tasted true pain, they could understand true peace. However, a puff of smoke suddenly erupted in the middle of the village. Hugetsu no Jutsu, Futen. Pain heard the technique and didn't think anything of it, until nothing happened to Konoha and his attack did nothing but struggle and force against the unknown jutsu, and they ended up canceling each other out. He allowed himself to fall back to the ground after seeing one of his best techniques suddenly neutralized. When he reached the ground, he saw 3 great toads, one with a pair of swords strapped to his back, another with a sasamata and a shield, and the last, which stood in the center of the two, had a pipe in his mouth. On his head was another toad, and on the toad's head was none other than Uzumaki Naru. The civilians and ninja alike were all in awe of the new arrivals, and Shima soon landed next to her husband, who was standing next to Naruto on Gamakichi's head. "It appears that my timing was spot on," she said. "Yes, but I'm afraid I squandered an opportunity," Naruto replied, his gaze fixed on Pain. "My jutsu didn't even scratch him." "That's not it, Naruto-chan," the old female toad sage explained. "Your techniques seem to have neutralized his own technique." "I see," Naruto replied. "If all it did was neutralize his jutsu, that meant he intended to destroy all of Konoha and everyone in it," Naruto thought. Naruto locked eyes with Pain, and before Pain could say or move, Naruto vanished, causing even the eyes of the emotionless corpse of the Diva Path to widen in surprise and then gasp as he was suddenly punched cleanly across Konoha and into the forest outside, smashing through a few buildings along the way. Tsunade appeared at Naruto's side just as he was about to follow. "Naruto, why are you here when you should be in your village right now? You should hurry back." He found out about Arashigakure and where it is located, she asked, concerned that he had not received her message of Pain's secrets. "I got a message saying you guys were in trouble, so I came to help." Naruto smiled before a serious expression appeared on his face as he looked around at all the death, destruction, and mayhem that Pain had caused. "Besides, he wants me, and he did all this to get it, and now I am hearing that he has already received what he came for. I believe it is past time for him to learn an old lesson." Tsunade grinned when she saw the look on his face. It was a face that promised a world of pain followed by eternal regret for the person who received the pain. "What is that lesson?" she inquired. "Be careful what you ask for," he cautioned before leaping back on Gamabunta's head to pursue Pain. "But, now that I have natural energy, I can tell, there are a few people that I cannot sense. Are they on a mission?" "Yes. I dispatched them to your village to inform you of our findings regarding Pain." "I see, thank goodness," he said before looking away. "He's getting ready to attack again, it's time to go. Tell everyone not to get too close. It will be difficult to protect them while fighting him." "Okay, but bring Katsuyu with you. He has all the information you'll need." Before Naruto jumped back onto Gamabunta's head, Fukaska took the toad from Tsunade and placed it in one of Naruto's pockets. "Gamakichi, stay here with Tsunade and the others," Naruto said. "Got it," he said solemnly. "Okay, Gamabunta, let's go kick some $1. Pain had never been more shocked in his entire life. Sure, he had sensed the tremendous power flowing off Naruto, but he had dismissed it. Even though Naruto was a Jinchuriki, he still dismissed it. After all, no matter how much power mortals may amass, in the face of a god, they were still just that, mortals. Worst of all, Pain saw Naruto as nothing more than a child, a powerful child, but a child. "I underestimated him," he thought as the Diva Path's repaired body stepped out of the mouth of the outer path, surrounded by the remaining paths, and God Realm's power will take time to return. He looked up to see the same 3 toads with Naruto on the head of the center one, and he looked into his eyes. "This saves me the trouble of looking for you," he said, but there was nothing in Naruto's eyes, no anger or rage, just complete blankness. This frightened him, and seeing the limitations of the Diva Path, the others quickly formed a formation with the animal, human, and demon realms in front, God and Preta realms directly behind the first 3, and Naraka Path directly behind those 2. "The one in the very back can bring back the ones who fall," Katsuyu said from Naruto's pocket. I see. Naruto observed the formation. That explains the formation. That is the most important one. Taking him out first ensures that they will not return. Naruto jumped off Gamabunta's head, and in response, the animal realm placed a hand on the ground and summoned a rhino, which charged at Naruto with a loud noise and threw up a lot of dust. But when the dust cleared, Naruto was completely unharmed and holding back the rhino with only one hand. However, Naruto's display of strength was turned into a pincer attack as the demon realm closed in from behind with several cruel-looking blades protruding from his body, intending to skewer Naruto. Most people would have been stuck between a rock and a hard place. If he dealt with the rhino first, he would be left open to the demon realm, and if he dealt with the demon realm first, he would have to release the rhino, allowing it to attack him at close range. But Naruto is not most people, so he did the next best thing. He picked up the rhino by the horn and slammed it on the charging demon realm, who. The animal realm had once again performed a summoning, this time summoning a huge bull and a dog of the same size with wings. Seeing this, the Toad Sages were about to intervene but were stopped when Naruto placed out his hands. They looked up at him but did not argue. Naruto summoned two Kage Bunshin to accompany him as he charged directly at the two approaching animals. Senjutsu. Gautsuchi Nami no Jutsu, one of the clones said after running through a series of seals that caused the ground to rise, creating a massive wave of earth the size of the summons. The dog managed to leap over the jutsu, but the bull did not fare as well and was buried. Senjutsu. Daikazi Nami no Jutsu, the other clone said as a tornado force wind picked up and tossed the dog away. This cleared the way for Naruto to move freely, but the three summons had not yet been released, which is where the three toads stepped in and quickly disabled them. Tsunade and the other ninja who could do so observed the battle from the safety of the wall. Who is that guy? A ninja inquired. I can't believe it, said another Hyuga, his Byakugan active. It's Uzumaki Naruto. What? What about the Kyuubi brat? Wow, he's gotten really powerful, said another. Let's go help him, one suggested. He may have started another village, but it was our fault, and we must make amends in any way we can. Despite the fact that the shinobi populace of Konoha never truly hated Naruto as much as the non-shinobi populace did, they all felt it when they all thought he had died, because at the end of the day, no matter what a person had sealed within them, they were all ninja of the leaf, and that was a bond that could never be broken. They all knew why the Akatsuki was there, but it made no difference. Let's go help the Kanshisha, yelled a ninja. No. We can't help him right now, Tsunade said, halting their charge into the raging battle. But, Hokage-sama, we must assist him. He has done so much for us while we have done nothing. I know how that feels more than any of you, she said, masterfully concealing her sadness that she couldn't help him, but he has become powerful while he was away, and has also mastered a technique that would make our input more harmful than helpful. So, Tsunade-sama, what can we do? We can keep an eye on him and have faith in him. They all returned to the fight after that. The Preta part charged next, and Naruto was about to counter its reckless charge with a ninjutsu. Naruto, ninjutsu won't work on this one. Any technique you use will be absorbed. In that case. Naruto charged back at the Preta path, and when he was close enough, he launched a textbook straight punch at its face. Unfortunately, the punch was delivered too soon, far too soon. There was at least a foot of distance between Naruto's fist in the Preta path's face, and if he was capable of facial expression, a smirk would have crossed his face at that point at the poor excuse of a fight witch. Gamaryu. Odaiku Kotetsu, Naruto said, looking at his final four opponents. Which one of you is next? As he watched Naruto fight alongside Tsunade, the old toad couldn't help but smile proudly. Gamaryu. Odaiku Kotetsu, he reasoned, is a fusion of the ancient shinobi ways Odaiku Kotetsu, a style that combines both soft and hard styles to do both internal and external damage, and the Toad Kumite, a style that uses the natural energy surrounding us. Naruto's energy became a part of him and attacked Pain. But in Sage mode, he becomes far more dangerous and his reach extends far further than usual, thanks to the Odaiku Kotetsu inner and outer effect. Despite this, he did notice that the Odaiku Kotetsu naturally sought to achieve such levels, because even in Sage mode, that level of reach was not possible. It was as if the style was created with this in mind, which is yet another reason to admire the tenacity of the ancient shinobi order. With someone like Naruto now at the helm and with the backing of the Toads this time, the old Toad Sage could almost feel that. "I see," said the God Realm, "so you've become a sage like Master Jiraiya?" "Yes, I have," Naruto replied calmly as he formed a Rasengan and a Kage Bunshin in one hand while manipulating wind chakra in the other. "You were his student, weren't you?" "Yes, I was, so we're fellow students, we studied under the same master," he explained, "and we should be able to understand each other." "I agree," Naruto said as his jutsu was finished, but Master Jiraiya desired peace. "What you are doing will not bring about peace, at least not the right kind of peace. Take a look around you. Is this the kind of peace you want to create? You can't see the forest for the trees, and you don't understand what peace is," he replied, "so come quietly, your death will bring peace." Naruto only smiled at this. "I see Master Jiraiya seems to pick rather stubborn students, as talking to you like this is like speaking to a brick wall," Naruto observed, "and that is something I will have to correct soon." Shima, who was standing next to Tsunade, looked at Fukasaku with surprise. "Did you teach him to look at his chakra?" she inquired. "No. I've never seen anything like this before," he said, as surprised as his wife. "He never did this during our training. What is he planning?" Naruto, on the other hand, surprised them yet again when he threw the spinning, shuriken-shaped mass of chakra. "He threw it," Shima exclaimed, stunned. "What?" Fusaku thought as he witnessed Naruto accomplish what should have been impossible. "How does he throw such dense, fast-spinning chakra?" Tsunade inquired, seemingly to no one. The remaining 4 paths of pain attempted to evade, but it was pointless because it expanded as they thought they had avoided it by inches. However, they were all still able to escape, all except the human path, which sacrificed itself to save the animal path by throwing it into the air. Kachiyose no Jutsu, while in midair, summoned a strange bird that dive-bombed Naruto. A lot of dust was kicked up as it did so. "Senpai. Rasengan Dama. You can't be reasoned with," Pain said as the dust settled. As the dust settled and everyone could see, Naruto approached the bird, but the bird did not appear to be coming back anytime soon, judging by the large swirl marks on its body and the fact that it vanished in a puff of smoke. Naruto smiled at the God Realm as he approached him and withdrew a kunai, pouring his wind chakra into it, causing it to extend its reach. "I have seen everything I needed to see, Pain, and I have taken your measure, and though you were without a doubt the most powerful opponent I have faced," he suddenly vanished in a burst of speed and reappeared behind the animal realm. "You are still lacking." It attempted to flee, but jumping without the lower half of one's body, even if one was previously a corpse, was impossible.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.